Good morning. We are starting lesson 10.6. This will be the very last lesson for this school year. However, if you'd like to try the end of the chapter test just on your own to see how you do, that would be fine and dandy. But this is the last one that we'll be doing together on our distance learning. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to be doing. We're going to do problem solving and display data. So this is basically word problems. How does making a bar graph help you when solving problems about data? So here's our first word problem. I'm going to work this one through with you together. Maria recorded rainfall in her town for 4 months. How did the amount of rainfall change? That's an important word. From September, I got to underline my question because I'm using cubes, from September to December, which is an important keyword. Now, we have some data that goes with our word problem right here, and we need to look at that data to see what we're going to do, what we found out about what happens in September through December. So in September, it rained 4 inches. In October, it rained 3 inches. In November, 2 inches, and in December, 1 inch. Now, this is what they're asking you to do. They're wanting you to figure out what kinds of information you need and how to use this information to solve your problem, which is to find out how the amount of rainfall changes over these 4 months of September, October, November, and December. What do you need to find? Well, always when you think about your underlined sentence, which is the question, that tells you what you need to find. What do I need to find? The amount of rainfall, how the amount of rainfall changed from September to December. What information do I need to use? The amount of rainfall in each of the months, which is right here. And this one is a part of the question that you underlined. What is it that you're actually trying to find out? So the first thing that I'm going to do is use the information that I'm given, and I'm going to have to come up with a title for my bar graph. And since this is dealing with 4 months, I'm going to call it 4 months of rainfall, because that's the data that we're looking at. Oops, not fall, but rainfall. Let's see, there we go, that's better, of rainfall. And down here below, September, October, November, December matches with this data. So these are the months. And they've told you on the side here, oops, I need to move that up a little bit, or I need to adjust this so you can see that better. I'm so sorry, sometimes I forget to look and see where things are on my screen. All right, and this is basically, we have been using cubes, and we're also using read, draw, and write. So this is the amount of rainfall in inches. 0 inches is at this line. 1 inch of rainfall would be across this bar. 2 inches would be across this bar. 3 inches across this bar. 4 inches across this bar, and 5 inches across this bar. So now what I have to do is fill in my bar model. My bar graph. September had 4 inches, so I'm going to bring that all the way up to the 4 line, and I will be coloring in that one for 4 inches. We're just going to do this really quickly here. Could do it take me a few minutes to do a much neater job, but you're going to be doing it with me, so hopefully you're working right alongside me. So there's September. Now, what about October? Well, October had 3 inches. So here's my 3-inch mark right here. So I'm going to fill in those 3 bars for 3 inches for the month of October. So I'm using the data that is up above to help me build my bar graph. In November, I had 2 inches. So I'm looking at that 2-inch line, filling that one in. And of course, in December, there was 1 inch. So I'm building my bar graph according to the data that's in that table up above. Now, the question that I have to answer is, how did the amount of rainfall change? Now, there is the really big question. And look, they've even started giving you the sentence that you're going to write. The amount of rainfall changed during these months because the rainfall. Now, in order to finish that sentence, I'm going to have to look and see what happened. So in the month of September, I had 4 inches. It went down 1 inch in October, another inch in November, and another inch in December. I'm going to draw a little arrow to show that trend of what's happening here. So every month there was a little less rainfall. Now when we're talking about something in this category, we're thinking about whether or not the rainfall increased. In other words, did it go up and was there more, or did it decrease and become less? So I would say, because my arrow is going down from September to December, if I was choosing between increase and decrease, I'm hoping you said, well, Miss Starr, decrease is what happened, and decrease means to go down or get smaller. So my arrow is indicating that it is decreasing as it goes over, those 4 months. So that is how you are going to proceed as you look at a word problem. Think about what you need to find. That's always your underlined question. And what information are you going to need to be able to solve that problem? So your job then, now, is to move on. You are going to move on to do, I think there are 2 graphs that you're going to need to look at. This first one about Matthew measuring the height of some plants. You're going to have to build the bar graph and answer this question about the height of the plants. Now I'm going to remind you that these are the words that you will probably need to use, increase or decrease. I would write those down so that you have them at your fingertips on explaining whether the plants increased in size or decreased in size. Then we're coming on to the next one, and this one is about Bianca and her practice of the guitar, and it's basically the same thing that we did on the practice problem that I did with you just a few minutes ago, and what you're going to be doing here. I will caution you to be really careful about question number 3. If Bianca's practice time is 4 hours in the 5th week, now you're going to notice that there is not a 5th week on here. You're going to have to add week 5 and see how it compares with what's happening on her guitar practicing. All right, so you have those 2 pages that you need to do, and then you're turning the page again, and believe it or not, we've got another one where you're going to be using question 4 and 5. Did I do that right? Yep. Question 4 and 5 again is using that line plot that we talked about a couple of days ago. It's asking how many strings are 9 inches long. So if I look at my line plot, I want you to think about it like a bar graph. This number represents 6 inches. 7 inches for the lengths of strings, 8 inches, and 9 inches. So this is telling you what these numbers down at the bottom represent. So I need to know how many of the strings on this line plot measured 9 inches. And if you remember us doing that just a day or 2 ago, I don't think this one would be too difficult. Question number 5. This one's a little more tricky. How many strings are more than 6 inches long? How many strings are more than 6 inches long? And then you have another one down here with this snowfall where you're finding out about David measuring 4 weeks in wintertime and the amount of snowfall. You are going to fill in the bubble next to all. Now that's going to be important because that tells me that there will be more than one correct answer. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 choices. It's possible that there will be 2 or more answers for that particular problem, which we'll look at in just a few minutes. Then your exit ticket. of course, is the same as it has been the last couple of days, which you need to send to your teacher. Hopefully you have a computer or a phone or something at home that you can use to do this with. So you're going to do the problems on the exit ticket, which are exactly what you just did a few minutes ago. And this one is also a part of the exit ticket that you will need to send to your teacher today, if you can figure out a way to do that. And then you need to do problem 2, 3, and 4, which are the spiral review problem. Alrighty, so with that, I'm going to go back here. This gave you a really good start off into what I'm expecting you to do today, and then the rest is up to you. So pause the video and I will see you in a few minutes. Pause the video. Are you back? Okay, if you're back, let's take a look at this. And of course, we did this first one together. So let's go ahead and look at this one. So this was the height of plants. And if you filled this out correctly, your graph is going to look similar to mine, where May had 2 inches, May 1st had 2 inches, May 8th had 3 inches, May 15th had 5 inches of plant height growing, and May 22nd had 7. Now notice I've drawn my arrow to show the trend to see how things are going, and I decided that the height of the plant continues to increase or get taller. Okay, my title I chose height of the plant. This would be the height of the plant in inches because it said that we were measuring in inches over here in my data information. And of course, these down here are the dates that we're checking things. And my written answer was the height of the plant increased or got taller over the 4 dates. Alrighty, let's look at the next one. Same thing with this one. Your bar graph should look similar to this. These numbers on the side, the scale represents the number of hours that she practiced, and I put hours practiced. First week was 1 hour, second week was 2 hours, then 4 hours, then 5 hours. Now that was the first part of the problem. I'm just going to cover this up for just a second because that doesn't come just yet. And of course, these are the weeks. The amount of practice time increased over the 4 weeks. In other words, she got a little bit more every single week. Now on question number 3, it asks if Bianca's practice is 4 hours in the 5th week, how does her practice change from the 1st week to the 5th week? Well, I just went ahead and drew that 5th week in, and she did decrease a little bit, so it was only 4 hours. So I'm looking at an increase for the first week 1 through 4, and then from from week 4 to week 5, she decreased by an hour. So Bianca's practice time increased from week 1 to week 4, but then decreased from week 4 to week 5. So notice how I'm using those words increase and decrease. I hope you did as well. Now let me take a look at where we're going from there. Okay, then we had your line plot, which is very much like a graph, except it uses X's to indicate how many were 6 inches long, but we were looking for how many strings were 9 inches long. So I went over to my 9 inches, put a little arrow above that, and I said 1 string, 2 string, 3 strings. 3 strings were 9 inches long. So I hope you got 3 strings. And then we had to say how many strings are more than 6 inches long. Well, I can't count 6 inches because it says more than 6 inches. So I drew a line to show everything that was more than 6 inches. So there was 1, 2, 3, which was 7 inches, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There were 10 strings that were more than 6 inches long. If you got that one right, congratulations. And of course, here is David, who's measuring snowfall over a 4-week period, and I had to bubble all. Remember, you had to bubble all of the sentences that describe the data and make your bar graph to help you solve the problem. So the snowfall on week 1 was 1 inch, then 2 inches, then 3 inches, then 4 inches. There were 2 inches of snow in week 2. I go there, and yes, indeed, that's how come I circled that one. The amount of snowfall increased each week. Yep, that amount of snowfall was on a steady uprise, so that's why I circled that one. The snowfall decreased from week 3 to week 4. No, from week 3 to week 4, it increased, so I just crossed that out and put increase. That would have made it correct. The total was 4 inches of snow in week 2 and week 3. Well, here's week 2 with 2 inches and week 3 with 3 inches. That does not add up to be 4 inches. It adds up to be 5 inches. So I can't have that one, and I did put 5 inches to show that boo-boo. There were 3 more inches of snow in week 4 than in week 1. Here's week 4 with 4 inches, week 1 with 1 inch, and I subtracted to get 3 more inches, which is why I picked those 3. I didn't pick these 2 because that did not match the data. Okay, now your job, if you'll remember, was, let's see, we need to come over to those last couple of problems on the exit ticket, and here they are. So those last, this is not on the exit ticket, this was just practice. The string is about 10 centimeters long. That's an important piece of information. Circled the best estimate. I'm getting a guess, my best estimate for the length of the feather. So I know for sure that my piece of string was 10 centimeters because I was told that this string was 10 centimeters long. I have to compare that to the feather because that's what I'm looking for. So if this was 10 centimeters from here to here, I have to decide, is my feather 2 centimeters? Well, no, 2 centimeters would be too small. 3 centimeters would be too small. A good estimate would be about 7 centimeters. So if I thought about this as 7 centimeters and the rest of this as 3 centimeters, that is reasonable to me. 7 plus 2 would not give me 10. 7 plus 3, 7 plus 3 would be reasonable to get me up to 10. All right, so let's count the total value of these group of coins, and they are not in value order. That kind of made me unhappy. But I did count them in value order. 25, 35, 45, 55. I really should have put that quarter over here. It would have been a little easier to count, but hopefully you came up with 55 cents. Rick had a $1 bill, 2 dimes, and 3 pennies. Drew that out. How much money does Rick have? $1 up 10 gives me $1.10. Up another dime puts me at $1.20, $1.21, $1.22, $1.23. And if you came up with $1.23, a super congratulations to you. So now, my friends, if you haven't already done the exit ticket, you need to make sure that you get that taken care of and get your exit ticket sent in to your teacher today. And with that, I am going to tell you that I have enjoyed being your distance learning math teacher with the help of Mr. Waldorf and Mrs. Chin and Eureka Math, and I've also enjoyed working with you some of the problems in Go Math. I hope you've had a great year of learning, and best of luck to you as you move into the 3rd grade. Have a great day now. Bye-bye.